afternoon we'll talk about where we are today with the number of municipalities and other organizations that we provide for, but we found a way of making it cost effective for the other communities and ultimately benefit for the village of Addison. And so now we are one of 3 major dispatch centers in all of DuPage County. So, Afton, it's all yours.
Thanks, Mayor. My name is Afton Swistek. I'm the one of the operations managers here at ACDC. I've been in this role for 2 years, and then before that I actually dispatched on the floor for 12. So I kind of saw this from just Addison all the way through. Right now we do 8 police departments and 7 fire departments. So just a quick list. It's Addison, PD and FD, Wooddale, PD and FD, Itasca, PD and FD. You're getting the gist here. Bensenville, PD and FD. And then we do Bloomingdale and Glendale Heights police only. The DuPage County Forest Preserve, they're police only. And then the other fire protection districts that we have are Tri-State and Pleasant View, kind of down south in the county, and Westmont Police and Fire. We have about 50 telecommunicators, including part-time personnel and full-time personnel. So in last year, we answered approximately 300,000 phone calls. About 75,000 of those were non-emergency, and were 911s and the rest non-emergency. So kind of how we differ from other PSAPs is we do all of our counties our cities both non-emergency and emergency. So after hours, if you live in an area that DUCOM covers, perhaps like in Villa Park or Lombard or something like that, you had a barking dog complaint, you would have to call 911 because that's the only way that the dispatch can get that call to send an officer. We, on the other hand, take their non-emergencies after hours, so we can kind of keep that separate. Like you said, we moved in just about a year ago, a little over a year. So it's still nice and pretty, and we love it. Quick note, it's built on a Nike site, so we used to house missiles here back in the day. We can withstand an F4 tornado, so it's probably the safest place in DuPage County to be if there's going to be one. And that's all by design, so that we can keep up operations for our member agencies during that, in a crisis. Also, what you're in right now is the Emergency Operations Center, excuse me, for the village. A lot of training goes on in here, but if anything, a catastrophe were to happen, the village could come here and operate out of here as opposed to being in different places. Okay, so then we started out in the EOC. This is kind of the EOC lobby. We have 2 breakout rooms, again, if anything, for training purposes. We use it a lot when we train our dispatchers, so they can kind of have time that's quiet away from the noise of the radio room. So that's what this is. We'll go back through the lobby. Again, all these doors are kind of heavy, so just watch your...
Thank you.
And then we'll go right in here. Isn't it great?
It's just such a nice stuff.
Whoever designed this, I want them to design my house. Wait till you get to the kitchen. So I'll just talk about this area really fast right here because it's just kind of a narrower hallway. So this is our admin area. Right there is the office for our professional standards coordinator. She kind of handles training. We are CALIA certified, so it's a certification that law enforcement gets. We have to meet all of these standards, and it puts us at a higher level. We're one of the very few in the state that are actually CALIA certified, so kind of cool. They have a break room. What you're going to see on the right, we call it the fishbowl, and you'll see why, but it's just a conference room for admin. We hold a lot of meetings in here, some small scale training for our TCs. And then we have a couple of more offices for our director and 2 deputy directors. So go this way. Lights were on before, but.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm
good stuff yet. Kidding. So this is just the kind of the main hallway for the building in here. And you guys can pop in and out. I'm not going to bring you all in there, but feel free to look. This is our roll call room. We do a lot of, again, training in here, roll calls before shift. You know, kind of a gathering place for the TCs if they need to. Yeah, you can keep, I'll walk and kind of talk. That's what we call the quiet room. So, right, so 911 gets super stressful. We work a lot of hours, a lot of stuff happens, so we wanted a place where the TCs could go and kind of just have a moment, be able to take a break, close their eyes for 20 minutes if they needed to on lunch. So, you know, that's what that's all about. And those chairs all fold down. It's very fun. Lots of people have taken, sorry, Fabby.
I'll see you guys later.
So our kitchen, and then we also have a fitness room. Again, if you want to go in, it's just some fitness stuff. So, right, a lot of fridges, a lot of counter space, because there's a lot of us that work. It's 24-hour operations, so there's a lot of us that work at one time. We want to make sure that we have enough for everybody. And TVs, you know. So yeah, fully equipped kitchen, more marble, and then actually, cool fact, this little wooden thing here is made out of the same tree as that table in the conference room. Kind of cool, right? All right, we'll leave Fabiola alone on her lunch.
Lunch?
Yeah, shift work.
Holy cow. I would be dying.
Okay, so we're gonna go into the radio room. You guys don't have to be super quiet. It's, you know, they talk to each other a lot anyway, so there's conversation in the room regardless. So I'll kind of walk you down, walk you up police section, down fire section, and then we'll go kind of off to the side so that I can show you everything and you don't have to worry about kind of bumping into the TCs and whatnot. You can ask as many questions as you want. So more washrooms. Again, you see a theme here. We have our IT department in here along with all of our servers, and we have a lot of servers for not just us, but DuPage County and DuPont. So that's what that. So we'll kind of swing around this way. Yeah, there's a ton, right? We'll just kind of get everybody right here.
These chairs are
They actually swivel.
no way.
You can completely turn it around.
Okay, I don't want to break this.
You're not gonna break it. Like you just, and it kind of like deafens the sound in the room, so if you need to make a quick phone call, or just take a second. Yeah.
I was being unique.
You guys can like fill in a little bit.
different routes.
So obviously the first thing that you see in here are the TVs. There's 36, I think they're 55 inch. So what most of it is are the video feeds that we have to our member agencies' police departments. I think the only one we don't have right now is Westmont. But so we monitor booking, the lobby, cells, parking lots for all of our member agencies. It's just part of something that we do, and I'll show you, but the TCs can actually look at that also on their computer screen. So it's not just there, but it's right in their face. And, you know, then we have some TV just for posterity's sake. So this section right here is the police section. Right now there are 6 telecommunicators working. So we have 3 talk groups. So Addison, Forest Reserve, and Westmont are in one. Bensenville, Wooddale, Itasca are on a second. And then Bloomingdale and Glendale Heights are on the third. It's kind of set up more for volume, call volume, and then the proximity of each other. So how it works is you have one person that's working the radio, and then they have a backup person whose job that day is to answer phones, but they're also there to help out with their radio operator if they need to do things. So we will take just a quick swing down so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like, and we'll swing back up fire. Guys, back up. Guys, back up.
There's 7 monitors?
Oh, coming, so now you're stuck. Addison. And then I'll go ahead and I'll remove it. I just need a paper trail for it. So red is that there's radio. Yellow means that they're up, like they're not sitting at their desk. And then green is that they're on a phone call. So we can kind of look, you walk up to somebody and you don't know if they're listening to the radio, so it gives us that visual cue. So this is the fire section. It's almost the exact same thing as that, except they have fire station alerting, so they set off the tones in the firehouse or when they have a call. We have treadmills and bikes that they can plug in and use.
This is what we need.
Wellness, man.
Walk down fire. Hi, everybody. Hi. Okay, so we're gonna walk over here. Hopefully my station is still set up so you guys can see everything. So this is what the dispatchers look at every day. Right here, this one is our radio console. Obviously that's where we talk to the officers through. We can monitor all of DuPage County's jurisdiction. I'm sorry, all the counties in all of the cities in DuPage County. Wow, that was a tongue twister. Just in case anything happens, we can listen if something happens in Villa Park and it's super close to Addison. We can hear it, relay it, officer safety, citizen safety, that type of thing. We also can access a lot of the doors throughout our member agencies, so we can unlock, open garages for them, unlock the lobby if they need. We have that capability. This one down here, this bottom row, is our phone system. So it's pretty standard. So when you call 911, depending on where you call from, if you call from a landline, it's our favorite because we get all that information pop up to us, to tell you that you're calling from 100 Westlake in Addison or wherever you're calling from. Cell phones are a little different. So cell phones come in two phases. We call phase one is just the tower. So it just tells us what tower you're hitting off of. Phase two gets us much closer. It's a bigger radius, it's not pinpoint accuracy, but at least it gets us a good solid idea of where you're at. All of those calls actually map for us automatically. So it's a visual thing for the TCs. They can say, oh, I think I'm here, and they can look, and there you are, you're plotted right there, and we know. So those work in tandem. These bottom three over here are CAD computers. That's what the dispatchers work off of every day. It's where they input calls for service, do traffic stops, look people up, run them through the system, make sure license plates are valid, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a general overview. So remember I talked about the three talk groups? That's how the screens are broken down. So you have the three different sections. You're responsible for that talk group. You kind of have that talk group up in your face in front of you because, again, you're responsible for it. These top ones are all they're all our village computers. So we get the internet on, work email. This is where they can bring those cameras and watch them like right there. When we were walking down the police side, I'm sure you saw they all had them up, and they can change different views based on what they're looking at. So it's one system and they can bring up whatever they want. I had a question about the lights. So the red light, and you can see them go over there. The red light is if there's radio traffic, either incoming or outgoing, so that the dispatcher is listening to officers talk or they're actually transmitting out. Yellow we have is that they're up from their console so that we can just take a quick head count. You want to get up and go to lunch. Oh, somebody's up. We can't do it. And then green is that they're on a phone call. Just helps the room know, so you're not shouting in somebody's ear when they're trying to talk on the phone and they don't know. We have 32 consoles with 2 supervisor positions. Oh, that's the phone. And so the idea behind this building and why there's so many, because we don't use this section, it's only that section, we don't even have enough TCs to fill all this, is we're DUCOM's backup and they're ours. So if something happens to DUCOM, they can come over here and work, and they have the same setup over there for us. Because of the size of it, we need to back each other up. Does anyone have any questions? Anything at all, really? Yes.
So on an average night like this, what are how are the shifts split up? Or how many shifts
hours?
do you guys
Yeah,
like
so
hours?
We have 3 shifts for police and fire. They're the same. So day shift is 6:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. This shift is afternoon shift, it's my favorite shift. It's 2:30 p.m. to 10:30, and then 10:30 to 6:30 in the morning.
So this afternoon shift, like a day like tonight, like how many average calls do you guys get?
So it obviously depends, in the middle of
Weather,
winter when
yeah.
it's not, I would say on an average day, we probably take around 500.
Okay.
Around, and again, it varies.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get 500 an hour if there's a storm, but that's a good ballpark. Plus all the other stuff they have to do. But that's about right. Any other questions?
How do you deal with like the fluctuation? Like, if you do it, if you know a big storm is coming in, but if suddenly like something pops up, do you just immediately then start calling more people in?
Yeah, so we have, we call them team leads and OICs. So when me or my partner aren't here, or one of the deputy directors, excuse me, they're kind of in charge or the go-to person if there's a question or an issue. So, your gut instinct is to start answering calls with everybody. As a supervisor or person who's kind of in charge, you've got to be like, okay, wait, what the room really needs is more people, and kind of make those phone calls. Or if they're not able to, if it's that bad, they can call any one of us and we'll just start. But yeah, so a lot of it kind of changes a little bit, especially with weather. You kind of change the way that you put out calls for service. So I don't know if they talked about it at Public Works, but we have what's called a portal. It's just a website that village personnel have. And we have an emergency conditions log. So when it is a blizzard or flooding or anything like that, instead of calling out PW for every single branch blocking the roadway or flooding that needs to be taken care of, but we're trying to get through phone calls, we actually generate a ticket and it goes to their emails, which they get notification on their phone, and then the telecommunicators just start putting it in there. So we do, when there is a variance in weather or something catastrophic, we do kind of alter our operations a little bit.
So some of the tables are higher than others. Do these have the
Yep.
capability of going up?
They all move up. You can move up the actual table itself or just the monitors.
Are you sure? Need that?
Hold on, it gets better. They can also move out, and they all have personal lighting, fans, and heat.
Are they
High-tech desk I've ever seen.
They rotate between shifts?
So every day they're assigned something to do. So they're assigned by radio channel and then back up to that radio channel. And that varies every day. It's one of the team lead's responsibilities just to kind of assign who's gonna do what that day. So, because if you get in here and you're like, then there's a fight for 10 minutes about who wants to do what, so we just do that to prevent any kind of, everyone knows where they're going and they can sit right away and go.
How often are the cell phone towers routed wrong? Like the calls go to the wrong spot? Or
You know what,
think they're in
it
somewhere
used to be really bad, right? And then a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, the, ETSB, takes all of the 911 funds and distributes them, they're kind of in charge of them from the county. They went through and redid all of them, so there's very few now, actually. Or if you do, it's something like super, like a really bad border, like Lake Street between Bloomingdale and Roselle, like that's a hit or miss, but for the most part, they're pretty accurate.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you guys accept text, like in emergencies? I remember like seeing like if you can't call text 911.
So it's called Next Generation 911. It doesn't exist in Illinois yet, and it does in some parts of the country, but not in Illinois.
Okay.
I know there's a huge push to go to it. Our phone system can handle it. Our CAD system can handle it. It's kind of just that making it happen. I'm going to do a little plug. I'm glad you asked. So if you live in DuPage, and actually more than just DuPage County, but we kind of really took it in. It's called Smart 911. It's just a website that you go to, you register. It's a separate program that we use here. So it kind of acts like, remember how I said on a landline, if you call from your old school phone, it will pop up with all that information. So if you call from your cell phone and you have that hooked up, it actually populates your home address for us, any kind of allergies you have, pets you have, kids you have, cars you have, anything that you want the 911 dispatch center to know, and actually that we can text through. And that's part of our policy with, so when people used to do 911 hangups from cell phones, because it happens all the time, people butt dial, you dial from your phone, your watch, whatever it is, we would make a couple attempts and that was really kind of it. We couldn't do much for you. Now we try to call you back, but we also send a text message. People answer that all the time. So I'm really excited to see what this next generation 911 does, because I think it'll take 911 to a whole new level. But sign up for that Smart 911. Everyone should. Anything else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when somebody like calls and then you know, so say Bentonville, for example, how do you send that to the police or fire or something?
Yeah, so we use the CAD screen. I'm gonna
Yeah.
actually step up this way so people can see. So it generates a call for service. It kind of pops down, like this one right now is in, I promise you that's not actually holding for 138 minutes. They freed somebody from it. But it pops down into the pending screen, and then the dispatcher sees it and gets on and over the radio broadcasts it to them. Then we send it to they all have mobile computers, so we send it to their mobile computer. They can read it, respond, add notes, close it out, whatever they need to do.
Is that map up there, is that what shows like what you cover, or does that?
No, so
not
that's
at all?
WeatherTap. That's just a website that we use for it primarily is for the fire department, but that, and I can't remember off the top of my head the radius. So the middle of that white circle is us, and so that's the radius for if you need to set off your tornado sirens. So really anything in that white one, and the blue one is for southern agencies like Westmont and Tri-State and Pleasant View, so that you know. That's what we use that for. It's pretty awesome. Honestly, a
Yes,
question
I
you've
have
ever
a
wanted to
general
know.
question, just because I'm really fascinated by all this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are like the most or like for you, what are like the most challenging things about like being on the call? Like obviously stress and stuff, but are there like any crazy random things that happen, and like even you, after, I know you guys go through so much training, but like experience that kind of like freak out of
No,
like
for
what
sure.
do I say? You know?
100%. So I think what really makes a good dispatcher is being empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't, and try not to get too out of the box here, but some lady who's been married to her husband for 6 years finds him deceased, right? Like I feel like a good dispatcher feels for
yeah.
her. You know what I mean? And so key to being a dispatcher is kind of being able to know how to release that, and then, or put it aside and kind of deal with the next call. So it definitely, when it's busy, it almost kind of helps, for lack of a better term, because you're done with that call and you have to move on to another one. Or, we work with a really good group of people here, and it's really about teamwork. So if you told your partner, I need to take 5, they would absolutely be like, yeah, go for it, take 10. But you know what I mean? Yeah. So it varies from person to person how you deal with it, but everyone does a really good job.
So is there like one call that's like stuck with you? I'm sure there's plenty, but like that
there's
one.
plenty. So I'll call myself fortunate where I can just get in my car and leave it here and it doesn't bother me. It does at the time, but not kind of. Mine are more officer related incidents, like on the radio.
Okay.
Like those were more of my,
Area.
Right, my kind of, I took it home, because those people you talk to every day, those people you see every day, and they're the ones that are, in this particular incident, we're getting shot at. You know what I mean? So you kind of hold on to that more. And some people much prefer phones and find that, but my nitty gritty war story is what you're looking for.
How do you account for those language barriers?
Oh, for sure. So we do have, obviously, TCs that do speak other languages. So Spanish primarily. We do have Polish, Arabic. And then if we don't have anyone that can translate for us in the room, we do have a language line service provided through ETSB that we transfer to and go from there. I mean, we try our best to at least get the address, because that's the most important thing. If we don't have the address, we can't help you do anything. So we at least try and get through the address and then send. And most people are pretty good about being able to at least give us that much. And then we transfer them to language line and they do it for us. That we do have TTY on our phones. So that's kind of like the text messaging, but they have a computer program for that. And most often what we find is they call a relay service. So they have like a video phone, and they call a relay service that has a video phone, and they'll call us and translate, for lack of a better term.
I'm wondering how this dispatch center would handle a call like that, where they would have to call out for multiple municipalities? How would that work here?
So it's called Elias. So what it is it's actually handled by Northwest Central Dispatch up north, and we tell them whatever we deem. So we need 10 officers, and I think Aurora's actually, their request is as many as you can get us. So, I mean, and then it's they make the call outs for us. And so it's up to those individual departments to tell them how many they're gonna send, or they will send, or they won't send, and then they go there. We, pick a staging area for them, or multiple if needed, and go from there. And then what's really nice about being consolidated that people don't think about is the ease of access. If something like that were to happen, they usually are listening to each other anyway. Like, I can get to Addison, I can get Bloomingdale, Glendale Heights, all the surrounding agencies super fast, way faster than calling Elias and having them call. It's a process. So I think that's another benefit, is that you really have access to so much help when you need it.